Okay.
Welcome, everyone. We
Ready
have
to
Ben
roll.
Rody here from the Rody Institute and Synergita in Costa Rica. Ben, let's really dive into what you've learned over the years, what you've created over the years with regards to sexual healing, sexual energy, and why that's really so key for us, the new humanity.
Ooh, one of my favorite topics. Yeah. So what we discovered over 6 years ago when we started a business called Explosive Sexual Healing 6 years ago, and now we call it multidimensional awakening. It's evolved, but at the time, what we realized was that whether somebody was trying to find a relationship, it was their sexuality that would either make them or break them, right? If they're gonna, if they're looking for somebody, having that openness, that sexual energy, really would magnetize their mate. And we'd get clients that would come to us looking for their life partner. We'd do a session with them. Our sessions at the time were 30 minutes of G-spot orgasm, right? And we have a whole system set up with boundaries and everything. The practitioners are fully clothed at all times, and touch is one way. There's no eye contact. They have an eye mask. So there's no transference. We send all that sexual energy, the magnetism, out to bring in their life partner. And then they feel open and they're, just empowered and magnetized. And they go out and they meet their man, They're like, oh, hey, hi, who are you? Wow, I've never seen anyone so open and beautiful. And Jesus, can I know you? You're the queen, right? And of course, people in relationships, especially the longer they're together, they tend to, the magnetism tends to not stick anymore. And then it's just like two rocks instead of two magnets. And so we get that spark alive again. And we teach them how to do that 30 minutes of G-spot orgasm. And what we realized was that our sexuality is usually our first trauma. It's the first domino that starts to create the voice that says, I'm not good enough. I don't know what I'm doing. Who am I to deserve love or touch or intimacy or whatever? And it transfers over directly into life purpose as well. So whatever is coming up in somebody's head in terms of their relationships or their sexuality or whatever voice that says you're not good enough, it all comes up in business too. So it's the same voices that come up when you're on stage. Who am I? I'm a fraud. I'm not deserving of being up here, or I'm not deserving of money or nice things or success. And so what we found is when we can get in there and pull out the roots of the trauma through her sexuality, then it transfers over into business as well. And there's so to the sexual magnetism. It's manifestation, right? It's the energy of manifestation. What you think about, you bring about, right? The whatever you have in your life is the vibration that you're at. And so this is where we use the highest state of vibration physically possible in a human, which is 30 minutes of G-spot orgasm. And we can take that and reprogram her mind. And so when she's in that state, brain scans have shown her brain goes offline. Her brain goes dark. It's the deepest state of hypnotic trance available. And so and that's often why women won't allow themselves to go into that orgasm, because once they do, they're offline. They're not in control. They're completely out of control. They're completely surrendered, which for a powerful woman is the scariest thing that can happen, is to not be in control. And so when we can help her brain understand how to let go of control and that she's safe and that everything's going to be okay, and then we bring her into that place where she's gone off the planet, doesn't even know her name, she's out of the matrix, she's out of the computer program, she's out and she's like trying to figure out, how do I get back in? That's the place where we can reprogram her belief system with, a few things that every woman needs to hear is that really would change everything if she believed it on a deep level is, I love myself, I trust myself, I forgive myself, right? And whatever other identity level statement, I am powerful. It's safe to be a woman in my power, right? And so when you can anchor that state to that belief, now it's, it's like a year of mirror affirmations, So I got more too, but I'll wait.
Fascinating. When you say anchor, are you referring to the NLP strategy of anchoring?
Not really, just more of like the philosophy of, behavioral conditioning and classical conditioning where, where what happens when you're in a certain state. We don't do the kind of anchoring that's like you put them in a state and then like touch their, arm so they can, that's how I did my wife's birth. I anchored Orgasm to her shoulder. So every time she would start to push or feel pain, I'd fire off the orgasm anchor and she'd go into orgasm. And but that's not quite what this is, but it is definitely a collapse anchor. Yeah, like when so usually sexuality and orgasm brings up a negative physiological response. So especially if somebody's first experience of sex or sexuality was at a young age, maybe they were molested at 7 or 8 or earlier, or, raped at, in high school or college or something. And that's her first sexual experience. Now she could be married 30 years later, and every time her husband goes to touch her or show her affection, she's instantly, goes back to that first time where it felt gross and it felt weird and it felt like a loss of control and a loss of power. So that, NLP is designed based on how we work as humans. And so yeah, this is what happens in life. And if a negative sexual experience gets anchored to our body, then that is what is going to continue to replicate until we can collapse the anchor with a better experience. And so that's what we do. We collapse her anchor of any negative sexual experience and then send her back to her partner, where now when he touches her, she melts into him and she creates with him and she's intimate with him and she feels, she's able to tap into that magnetic energy and draw him in and refill that relationship.
Oh, I love that. It's truly where humanity is moving away from the negative polarization of sex. And, a lot of us grew up in times of human frequency where sex was still negatively polarized. It's really changing. I think even areas of kind of racy sexuality or the edges or fantasy or kink or whatever people are kind of getting, polyamory and so on. I think people are even now capable, because they have the evolution, to positively polarize it. Instead of it being a control mechanism, we are starting to use it as an acceptance mechanism. What do you think? Just the sexuality is changing. Are you seeing it?
Ooh, I like that. Yes, yeah. What I'm seeing is that we've had enough time as a humanity to try all kinds of different things and to be, starting off being told these certain messages that sex is bad and wrong. And if you're a woman that has sex, you're a slut. And if you're a man that has sex, you're a pimp. And, all these negative sexual messages, we've had enough time to say, no, actually, I'm going to try something new. And then we actually went to the opposite end of the spectrum, like you said, with all the polyamory and the, all that stuff. And we went to the opposite side. But it was actually still based off of a reaction to the you can't have sex. And it was like, watch me, and I'm going to go have sex with everybody. And I'm going to go create this whole new paradigm of sexuality. But then we went all the way to that side of the spectrum and realized, oh, that's not where it's at either. And it's important to, I feel, experience them, both ends of the polarity. So then, because if we can't experience one, if I can't experience sexuality, then that's a tool I don't have in my tool belt. If I can't experience not having sex, then there's an issue there. And so we need to have access to both, but then once we have access, then we come back to the center and choose, do I want to have sex or do I not want to have sex? For me, not because I'm controlled by some inner desire or a reaction to societal pressure or philosophies, or, the church's philosophies, or my parents' ideals. It's like, what if I collapse all of that, get rid of all of that, and really ask myself, what do I want? Like, what do I really want? Like, not what am I compelled to do, but what do I want? So I feel like there's, and this is all thanks to all the sexuality teachers out there, all the people that are teaching relationships and sexuality, all the people that had to go first, who, had some kind of a trauma and said, you know what, I'm going to figure this out. I got to figure this out for me. And then once we figured it out for us, we could take it out to the world and say, hey, I've got something. And I really feel that it's because of all these empowerment teachers and sexuality teachers that the Me Too movement is even possible. And all these other, really freedom movements are even possible because we're at a time where we now have truth. We now have a solution. Whereas if this Me Too movement would have started 20 years ago, everyone would be like, what? I don't even know what's true. But now there are enough of us that we're like, here. All right. That's what I've been saying for years.
Yeah, I love witnessing the positive polarization of sexuality, because ultimately that energy, that frequency is so geared towards taking us from that 3D shackling, the victimhood, the control, out of that towards the wisdom, the love, the compassion, the service to others, those higher frequencies where humanity is actually designed to be moving towards. Yeah.
For sure. And again, I think what we're really experiencing is finding ourselves. And, everyone talks about, 5D consciousness, and what is that really? 5D consciousness is waking up to the dream, waking up to, I live in a dream. I'm the creator of the dream. If I could do anything, be anything, have anything, what would that be? Right. So like you said, like in the 3D, we're told what to think. We're told what the model is. This is how you live. This is how you have a good life. You go to school, you get a job, you work your way up, you buy a house, you invest in your 401k, you retire, you die. And then in 4D, like the next level of consciousness up is, somebody reads a book or watches The Secret or something, and they're like, oh my God, I can have anything. I can do anything. I can be anything I want. I can create my life. I can create my reality. I'm going to do that. And then they go quit their job to create their reality. But they don't just go from the job to 5D consciousness, living the dream. You have to go through the process of the fourth dimension of discovering, who am I? Who am I? Who do I want to be? Who do I claim I am? Who do I stand in? What am I here for in the world? What do I do in the world? Right? And so we create a new system in the fourth dimension. Then once we find success in that system, in that reality, and we can look at it in a life purpose perspective. When I find my purpose in the world, and then I'm selling it, right? And people agree with me. They say, yes, that is what you do and who you are. And here's my credit card. And that kind of anchors it in from a big vision to a three-dimensional reality, which is the integration is the most important part. Then we can say, okay, great. I've discovered how to be a reality creator. I've discovered how to create my reality. And this works in business and sexuality and relationships and everything else. We use sexuality to energize and fuel everything, including life purpose. My wife and I, we make love twice a day, and every time is a conscious act of creation and of intimacy and of bonding, and we never let an orgasm go to waste. Every orgasm is a creation as we're tapped into source. And so that's, I feel like that's where we're going, because we've had enough experience of going from polarity to polarity, from one end of the spectrum to the other end, from being told by mom and dad what to do to fuck you, mom and dad, I'm going to do it my own way, to releasing all that and becoming a spiritual adult and saying who I am is not based on anybody's thoughts of me or the resistance on anybody's thoughts of me, and I'm going to create, I'm not anybody. I'm literally not anything or anybody. I am whoever I say I am. I am whoever I'm creating myself to be in the moment. And I feel like that's where people are really starting to ground in right now, and people are just done with anything else. And so, yeah, that's where the empowerment is really coming from, this freedom.
I can't wait when we get to the retreat to really touch on, you and Jen have such a magical twin flame story, and also what you've created, manifested out of the energy of that just like exquisite twin flame sexuality healthy energy that I can't wait to be sitting at a dinner table someday with you guys and really touch on, what was that process of manifestation using that sexual energy to create everything that you guys have.
Yeah. Well, do you want me to touch on that now?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, let's cover it at dinner in Synergita as well.
Okay. So the quick version is, so we met in May 8th, 2012, and we got married 32 days later. She moved in with me 30 days to the day after meeting her, and we got married 2 days after that. I was a mailman. She was a preschool teacher, and she was in a relationship of 5.5 years, which is why it took a month for us to get married. That's why it took so long. And so she had to leave this relationship and move in with me. And it was really hard for both of us because I was in a place before I met her of, I'm never going to be in a relationship. I was on the other end of the spectrum from, I was raised Christian. I was raised sex is bad, don't have sex. And so I had a lot of shame around it because all I wanted was to have sex. All I wanted was a girlfriend. All I wanted was to kiss, right? And to hold hands and to snuggle. And so I had this intense shame where I just had a total fear of women. And then I went to, I'm going to figure this out. And I went to the other end of the spectrum and I was a runaway train. I was out of control once I figured it out. And then when I met Jen, it was like, oh shit. It was a reminder that this is why I started learning relationships and sex and sexuality in the first place, is because I was looking for my one. And so we went from me being just a major like commit-ophobic, and her being in a long-term relationship where they were going to get married, and the two of us came together, got married. She moved in out of his place and into my place. Now here we are, and we just fought all the time, and we couldn't figure out our relationship. But we were taking clients, right? So we quit our jobs right after we met and started this crazy business. And so the only time we weren't fighting was when we were in session, because my higher self was in and her higher self was in, and we were looking at each other like, oh my God, you're so good at this. After the session, we're like, good job. Oh my God, that was so good, And so we said to ourselves, okay, well, let's do our own homework. Let's do all the stuff that we're telling them to do. And so we started doing our own work, and we were teaching how to manifest through 30 minutes of G-spot orgasm. And we were living in this little cottage in the ghetto with mold growing on the walls. And I mean, the room we were doing our session in was the living room. It was like you open the door and like the door hits the massage table, and you had like walk around, close the door. I mean, tiny little place. And so we're teaching manifestation through orgasm. We're like, shit, if we're teaching this stuff, we better really figure it out. We better actually, walk our talk. And so we started using her G-spot to create, to manifest, to crack the code, to crack the matrix, to hack the computer program. And we went from being so broke we couldn't even pay our rent or eat or anything to our fourth month in business. We sold $9,000 that month. We sold $9,000 a month after that. We sold $9,000 a month after that. Then we moved out into a bigger house and a nicer house. And a year after that, we moved into a 5,000 square foot retreat center in Rancho Santa Fe, California. I think it's the sixth wealthiest community in the United States. And then we moved from there to Costa Rica, and now we're in this luxury resort with the largest chandelier in Costa Rica, right here in our living room above our heads. And this is our bedroom up there. We've got this 120-acre luxury and infinity pools and fountain with mermaid statues and larger than life Poseidon statue. And I mean, we're like 6 years in and just living the dream, creating an enlightened community of leaders to change the planet. And this is the power of sexual energy. This is the power of, but not just sexual energy, it's also the integration of our sexuality. Because if you see an enlightened master taken out or a leader taken out, it's usually because they misused their sexuality in some way, or they weren't integrated. But it's also our fastest fall from it if we're not integrated. And so this is why having that life partner on life purpose, my connection is unstable, so I'm going to put myself on, take my video off. This is why having that life partner on life purpose to hold you accountable at all times and hold you accountable for your growth is so important, because I will never have the opportunity to get anywhere that's going to be, that's going to take me out of the game, or where I'm going to make this huge mistake, because Jen will always be there. That if she even sees a little part of me that's getting out of control, she calls me out on it. And as you grow financially, as your power grows, as your notability grows, it gets to your head. It just does. And this is why you have to have somebody to hold you accountable. And so, I do the same thing with Jen. If she starts going in the wrong direction, we're always there to hold each other on course. And I really feel like we were only able to do that because we healed our sexuality at the beginning of our relationship. And, people are always trying to figure out, well, how do I get bigger? How do I make more money? And usually it's a gift that they're not. It's a gift that they're not making more money, or it's a gift that they're not, finding that bigger crowd, because having those things without healing the traumas, without healing the last little bits, can be and will be devastating. It can be devastating to grow too fast. It can take you out of the game. I mean, look at all the child stars, right? The child stars that grew up in Hollywood and then instantly had to turn to drugs and have messed up relationships and really don't know how to be in reality. It's because they grew too fast. And so I feel like that if somebody's really not growing in their business and their purpose, it's a gift, because they're waiting. Their higher self is waiting for them to clear their sexuality to really allow them to grow to the next level and to get bigger and to, it's a safety mechanism. It's a safety. It would be like giving a child a rocket launcher. It's like, here's your rocket launcher. Let's go, go play. Make sure to point it at only things you want to blow up. It's like, no, I'm not going to give my 4-year-old a rocket launcher, because, that's dangerous. So I really feel like healing our sexuality is literally the most important thing that we can do. Because it'll be it's the most powerful force that we have access to, and the more powerful the forces that we're allowed. And I really feel like, in a big way, that church and society and our family, etc., has been, that's why they've been trying to ingrain it in us, that like, ignore your sexuality, stuff it down, don't even focus on it, don't think about it. Only sex is only for procreation and when you're married. Because if you get too far out of whack in your sexuality, it will take you out of the game. And of course, stuffing your sexuality brings you out of whack and also takes you out of the game. When it comes out sideways, and you got the priests that are molesting children and stuff like that because they don't have a healthy sexuality. But I really feel like it's well-intentioned. I feel like when they say don't sleep around, it's well-intentioned, because it is such a powerful force, and it's so confusing, and it's so easy to manipulate once you have that power. And so and I feel like now people are ready for it. People have enough knowledge, we have enough wisdom, we have enough teachers, we have enough leaders that are saying how to use it, how to control it, how to wield it, where to put it, where we're going with it. It's not just a sexplosion where it's just everywhere, and I don't know how to contain my sexual energy, and every woman I see is like, oh, hello. It's like, these are the leaders that are getting taken out. these are the ones, because they haven't had a woman to be like, so like when Jen and I first met, and I was just used to sleeping around, even when we were doing sessions, you know, I didn't know how to keep my boundaries in. I didn't know how to keep my sexual energy. I didn't know how to contain my heart energy. And so it took Jen, while we're doing sessions, and I'm like, you know, trying to shower our client with love, and Jen's like, hey, that's inappropriate. And I'm like, oh, that's what inappropriate is. Okay, thanks for the heads up, you know, and now I'm able to suck it in. And so that, and then there's never been any transference. There's never been any clients falling in love with us, because that's the feedback mechanism. The feedback mechanism is what's showing up in our life. How do I take that and learn from it? Now, preemptive evolution, before I don't listen to the signs, and now I get in, you know, I have this weird sex thing, which is happening to a lot of leaders right now that are getting taken out because they didn't heal their sexuality. And, you know, it's like, okay, that's the forced evolution, is like, you know, the preemptive evolution is, okay, fix that shit. Okay, take care of it. Okay, you know, you got to really suck it in. You got to get real. Okay, grow up, become an adult. Okay, he's not listening. All right, give him a, you know, slap upside the head. You know, we will evolve one way or the other. We are here to evolve. We're going to evolve the easy way or the hard way, and that's what we signed up for. We signed up for evolution. It's up to us to make it easy.
I agree with you. Thank you. Let's continue our convo tomorrow. And we're going to have lots of these amazing conversations in Costa Rica next month in April. Join us. Sexual Magnetism is from April 9th to 16th. And you can double it with the Transformational Healing Retreat, which is also going to be phenomenal. Ben, thank you so much for your time.
That's coming up soon. That one starts on the 9th. So if you all want to be super spontaneous and fly out here and enjoy 12 days in paradise and reset and recharge and hang out with some of the most amazing people around, come hang out. Welcome to our home. Welcome to our resort. Welcome to paradise. Welcome to heaven on earth. Just come hang out. We want to see you all there.
Absolutely. Thanks. How can you miss out on these convos, right? World class. Okay, thanks, Ben. See you tomorrow.
Well, thanks.